Our proposed book is about the factors in modern society that are causing huge shifts in the way that we all experience risk. So the world is getting more complex. The way that we as humans think about risk is not able to adapt to that, and organizations, generally speaking, have kind of a mixed record of either supporting good practices in risk management or suppressing good practices in risk management. So our book is about those interactions.
So the most worrying aspect of the changing nature of risk is that risk sort of factors that used to have a contained proportionate effect now in the kind of changing risk landscape are having a disproportionate effect. So the analogy we use in the proposal is that in one situation you're throwing a ball. It's a pretty kind of simple linear process. We can calculate how far the ball will travel depending on how hard you throw it. Now we compare it to a different world, a world of an avalanche, where a small effect, the same kind of small push, a move by a skier or something like that, can lead to a much larger disproportionate impact. And we see that kind of change in all sorts of industries. We see it in finance, we see it in managing disasters, natural disasters, we see it in dealing with terrorist attacks. So across all sorts of realms and industries and all types of organizations, this sort of more complex, more connected system where a relatively small mistake can have disproportionate consequences is increasing.
So just to add something to what Andras said, I think the other challenge is that the tools that have worked for a long time for organizations when they think about managing risk, things like instituting compliance and controls, undergoing scenario planning, and bringing in experts, the effectiveness of those tools is really blunted when dealing with this paradigm shifting risk landscape that we're dealing with. In terms of who the audience that this book is really for, I think that our hope is that it's really a broad audience. Of course, I think leaders in different organizations, leaders in private sector enterprises, leaders in policy and the public sector, and people working on big problems like development and nonprofits, they're all people that we hope we can influence with our research, and we hope we can show kind of a different way that evolving risk impacts them. But I think we also hope that the impact is broader than that. Of course, risk affects us all. When the financial crisis happens, we're all affected by that. When the dynamics of how loans get originated change, that affects us all. I think what we've seen, especially in the last really 5 to 10 years, is a really broad impact by lots of major events, from the financial crisis to natural disasters. It really affects us all. And so our hope is that with this book we'll be able to reach a broad audience who cares about this stuff because they're really affected by it on an everyday level.
And I would add to that the interventions or the solutions that we propose are really, they don't require that you have a staff of 1,000 people and millions or billions of dollars under your disposal. A lot of the techniques that we find to be quite effective in dealing with this type of risk are implementable even on a relatively small scale. So you have a team, you have a small unit in an organization, you are kind of a mid-level manager, even for people with relatively limited resources, there is a relatively large set of complementary interventions that we propose.
In a sense, I think it's a little like Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sustein. This sort of idea that small changes can make a really big difference. And I think we see that in the world of risk. We see that running, managing a team in a slightly different way, or even making decisions yourself in a slightly different way, can lead to dramatically different outcomes.